go straight across to Mr. Chopra, the former president of the ICAI. Mr. Chopra, joining us here on CNBC TV 18. What do you make of this advisory? While we appreciate the fact that the ICAI has been proactive in taking action against members who may have allegedly tried to sort of beat the law, so to speak. But what do you make of the other part of this advisory, which talks about or warns people from actually writing or speaking out against demonetization on any platform whatsoever?
Shireen, so far as this part is concerned, I can only say that as regards ethical issues, Institute is very well competent to do that and should do that rather. Why should any member try to defeat the very objective of any of the schemes of the government for that particular matter? And I personally feel to that extent it is a very, very welcome move on the part of the Institute and a very welcome advisory on the part of the Institute. But so far as the other part is concerned, like me, I have been sportive. I have been saying openly that this is probably one of the boldest moves that any PM could have taken in this country to achieve certain objectives. But at the same time, if there are certain issues concerning the scheme or the implementation thereof, I think the members should be allowed to raise their voice and to express their views. I will not say raise their voice, but to express their views in the matter. Because to me, it is more important that if the members bring in their views, it could help the government in resolving some of the issues also at the same time. Like there are many issues going on in the banking sector today, and probably the chartered accountants could be very well placed to give the views in those matters and say that this is the way that these issues can be resolved.
Mr. Chopra, in your memory, has there ever been an advisory which has advised from the ICAI in the past, which has advised members to take a certain position or not take a certain position on a certain issue?
I think not to my mind, but if it would be, I at least I am not aware in my memory, because I entered the council in 1998, and since then I don't think any such advisory has been issued that we have to either support or say anything negative against the government. We have to really ensure one thing, that if at all there are certain good moves, bold moves by the government, any government for that matter, we have to support that and we have to facilitate that. And I think the ethical advisory is a step in that particular direction. But at the same time, if tomorrow someone says that this is the budget which is being presented and you will not say anything negative about it, I don't think it has ever happened. The chartered accountants have been appreciating, they have been criticizing various provisions of the budgets, various issues in the budgets. So I think this must go on. Because, again, I must reiterate, to me, this is the best way of providing even guidance to the government on certain issues. And I can tell you, the way certain things are happening in the banks today, if the chartered accountants are asked to express their views openly, it will help rather than really negating the efforts of the government.
Mr. Chopra, do you on your part intend to take this up with the ICAI, this issue on part of the advisory?
No, I can definitely speak to the president of this particular issue, but I think president in office realizes everything, and I think there are certain reactions already from the members. We are at a contingent of more than 260,000 members, and you can't every member to fall in line with the views of the government or of the Institute in certain matters. Yes, on ethical issues, absolutely, again I am reiterating, very, very welcome advisory, and we must support and we must see that the government's efforts in this demonetization process do not get negated by any of our members.
Let me go across to Bala now. Bala, thanks very much for joining us. And as Mr. Chopra was pointing out, there is no quarrel whatsoever in advising chartered accountants to actually, maintain the spirit of law and ensure that there is no activity or no misconduct on their part. But what do you make of this paragraph as part of the advisory? And I'll just read it out again. Members are strictly advised not to indulge in any nefarious act as to subvert the intentions of the government in any remote possible way. The members are also advised not to share or write on any negative personal views by way of an article or an interview on any platform regarding demonetization.
No, I think it's a very unusual advisory from the ICAI. To my memory, I had not seen the Institute issuing any advisory in the past similar to this, to an extent looks very unusual. Having said that, I think the advisory on the illegal activities and the chartered accountants helping to make it happen, I think that is a good advisory. I welcome that. But I think the advisory on not airing any negative views on demonetization by any member, I think it's a little bit of overreach. The Constitution allows every citizen the right of freedom of speech. I don't think the ICI can curtail that with a circular like this. So I think it's a little bit of overreach. I think the institute should rethink about it and withdraw that part of the advisory. The other part on warning CAs from helping any illegal activities is good. I think it's a welcome move.
Absolutely. And as I said, the fact that they're being proactive, they've already issued notices to certain members for alleged misconduct, that is appreciated. But Bala, why do you believe that the ICI has made this business of not speaking out against monetization a part of this advisory? Both you and Mr. Chopra are saying that you have never seen the ICI take a position of this sort in the past, never issue an advisory for members to take a certain position on an issue in the past. Why do you believe the ICI has chosen to make this a part of its advisory, for issuing an advisory to take a certain position on demonetization?
I don't know. I think only the institute can answer that question. But to my mind, I think they have become more enthusiastic in showing themselves to be more supportive to the government. I don't think that is the job of the institute. I think they should relook at it and withdraw that part of the advisory in the best interest of the institute and this image. I think some good reason will prevail on them.
Mr. Chopra, and Bala, I'll start with you, Bala, but do you think that, you're both speaking here as individuals, but does your voice find majority within the membership of the ICI, Bala?
I don't know. I think the institute has got its set of people who are running that institute. I don't know how far they listen to the members. I think if they really listen to the members, they should relook at this advisory and withdraw that part of the advisory. I think it's in the best interest of the institute.
Mr. Chopra, would you agree with Bala that the institute must review, rethink and withdraw that portion of the advisory which cautions members?
In the same way that we have to allow the freedom of the speech to the members. And as I said earlier also, probably it will help the government, it will help the economy, it will help everyone to resolve some of the issues which could not have been foreseen while framing it. So I personally feel, whereas we support the move, I'm one, I've been saying openly that I support this particular move, but at the same time, yes, there are certain issues which we must be able to say, this is what needs to be done in this particular matter. So I'm of the opinion that Institute may rethink on this particular subject and probably withdraw that particular portion of the advisory. But we leave it to the Institute. But I think members on the whole do feel that freedom of speech should remain under all circumstances. Otherwise, there could be, and I fully agree with Bala, what Bala has said, that it could be a more enthusiastic kind of an approach to support the government. I don't think there is anyone else to be blamed for it, for that matter.
Bala, if the Institute chooses not to review or rethink this part of the advisory, what would the next course of action be? I mean, from in a court of law, it's unlikely that this advisory will stand.
No, I think if somebody wants to legally challenge it, they can legally challenge. But I think the fundamental freedom of expression is allowed under Constitution. I think members should ignore this advisory and they should air their views, because some are against, some are for. I don't think they should restrict themselves from airing their views. I think they should ignore this advisory and do what they want.
How easy will it be, Mr. Chopra, as Bala says, for members to ignore this advisory?
I will only say that advisory is an advisory in any case. And so far as the first part is concerned with regard to the ethical standards, I think Institute can enforce it under all circumstances. And the notices can be issued. And I really appreciate what all you also said, that the notices were issued to the members concerned when certain things came to light recently. And I think that it needs to be, if at all it is required even in future, to to issue more such notices, if at all anything come to light. It should be done. So far as this particular part is concerned, I think the word advisory itself is, yes, exercise caution, don't overstep anything, and try to be very clear that whatever view you express, number one, I am of the view, we should not be political in our thinking, as members also. We should be looking at this particular scheme in the interest of the nation, and then whatever reaction we can give, we may be able to give. That's the way I look at it.
Bala, would you, just to pick up on one of the words used by Mr. Chopra, do you believe that through this advisory and just that particular paragraph and a half of this advisory, because the rest of the advisory talks about the proactive action taken by the ICI and issuing notices to 4 members for alleged misconduct, etc., which everyone welcomes and appreciates. But do you believe that by this call to censure, so to speak, this has now taken on a little bit of a political undertone? Bala?
No, I think, see, what is guaranteed to us under the Constitution, no other authority can take it back. So I think it's not about political or non-political. I think it is misadventure from the ICI. I think some goodwill should prevail and they should withdraw that part of the circular. I think what is guaranteed under the Constitution, no other authority can take it back. Let's be very clear.
All right, Bala and Mr. Chopra, appreciate you joining us here. So both unanimous in their view that the ICI must withdraw or at least review and rethink on a certain portion of the advisory that has been issued, which asks members not to air any personal views that may be negative on demonetization, but appreciative of the fact that the ICI is acting proactively against its members for alleged misconduct. Well, with that, Arundhati,